Hello, and greetings from Hong Kong. I'm Pat Kozyra, and I'm the author of this book. It's called Tips and Tidbits for Parents and Teachers. Celebrating 50 years in the classroom and sharing what I have learned. Let me tell you more about this book, about myself, and why I feel that parents should have this book, and why I am qualified to share it with you. My husband and I were not yet ready to retire in Canada, where our teaching careers had begun, and we were both really wanting to continue in the field of education after retirement there. So we left Canada 16 years ago and came here to Hong Kong. I came here as a learning specialist, and then I went on to be a nursery teacher and a pre-K teacher, head of preschool, grade 1 teacher, music teacher, and tutor. And my husband, he was a vice principal and principal of the Korean International School and English specialist, high school English specialist, and a private tutor as well. So we both now have left the formal classroom and we're enjoying tutoring. I want to tell you why I wrote this book. The idea struck me when I was preparing to throw out all my resources and my materials and the books that I had gathered throughout my career. I wanted to glean from them the best that I had saved and put it together in a book so that I could help parents. Why? Because in my 50 years of teaching in the classroom, it became more and more apparent to me with each passing year that parents really needed help in assisting with their child's education and in meeting the individual needs successfully. Now, all parents want their child to be a successful contributor, significant contributor to society someday. And I think most parents are doing the very best they can. But sometimes it isn't enough. My book does just that. It helps parents. So this is where I come in. So let me tell you about it. I began my book with a tribute to my own mother, who was an exemplary teacher, there she is there, and a principal for many years. She was also my grade 1 teacher and my mentor when I first entered the profession. We were teaching the very same grades in my first year that she taught. Grades 1s and 2. To this day, I'm still using some of her ideas and creative ways of teaching, like the chair method of learning short vowels, for example, which is so important in learning how to read. Yeah, that's in my book as well. Now this book here that I'm holding in my hand is my mother's copy of The Boxcar Children. It's by Gertrude Chandler Warner, which she read to us. Can you believe that there was a time when we could only find this series of books in used bookstores or yard sales, or as some say, car boot sales? The amazing thing is that if you walk into bookstores in Hong Kong today, the Boxcar Children books are there. They've all come back with such popularity. The same holds true for this book. And this is my copy of Dick and Jane that my mother taught to me when I was in grade 1. Dick and Jane books are back. They're all in the stores again. Now this is the format that you might see in the stores, but why reinvent the wheel if it's a really good wheel? And lastly, about my mother. She died at the age of 84, 17 years ago now, but to my great surprise, last year, believe it or not, one of her former grade 1 students, who apparently was living in a terrible home environment as a child, actually found me on the web and wrote to me an unbelievable letter of tribute to my mother, saying that she literally owes her life to her and how Mom cared for her well-being and took charge of her and actually saved her life when she was so very ill and abandoned. As a child, of course, I knew nothing of this. Now, my book goes on to offer specific do's and don'ts. Right off the bat, I don't hold any punches. No ifs, ands, or buts. I didn't beat around the bush in this chapter. I just tell what I have observed and what I feel to be true, what works and what doesn't work with children. One example is you're not your child's friend, best friend. You are your child's parent. And many parents forget this and are even afraid to be a real parent. Now, in my book, I've included some simple diagnostic tests and checklists that parents can just even give themselves at home to their parents, or to their children rather, to assess their abilities. And a variety of checklists are there. They can do it quickly and easily at home. Now, having taught gifted children in Canada for 15 years, needless to say, the chapter in my book on giftedness is a big one. I offer workshops on giftedness to both parents and teachers to this day. Now, the presentation that I give, that's called How Parents Can Help Their Child at Home, can be found on the web for Penn Foster College, and I did one here in Hong Kong at the Aberdeen Marina Club. As a special education specialist, I taught special education courses off campus and on campus for years at Lakehead University in Thunder Bay, Ontario. So included in my book is much information in the form of easy to understand definitions and descriptions of many afflictions and diseases and syndromes, disorders and disabilities. Everything in my book is presented in an easy to read and easy to understand format. Some of the things are in point form, bullet format, and the chapters are all short ones. This is not a heavy book to read. I know that parents are busy and full-time working parents. They don't have time, not a lot of free time to read. Now, as a primary specialist and a grade 1 teacher for many years, I help parents in this book to help their child learn to read by offering a multitude of tips and tidbits. Yes, the title of my book. Now, on a personal note, I am the mother of 2 daughters and the granddaughter of, or the grandmother rather, of 6 delightful grandchildren. I'm going to show them to you here. There they are. They're all living in Canada. So I come well qualified to talk about topics such as discipline and self-esteem and how to study for tests and exams and how to deal with such things as even head lice and sleepovers and birthday parties. It's all in my book. You'll also learn about the 7 worst things that parents, good parents, do. So that should pique your interest in itself. One chapter that many parents tell me they are so happy to see in my book is the one that's explaining all the educational terms and the vocabulary used on report cards and assignments for students. You know, parents are often so frustrated with the language that is used, and some of them are embarrassed to even ask or have it explained. They're not familiar with it. And it's my strong opinion that many of the report cards are not even helpful to parents. Some of them are just downright ridiculous, with so much educational jargon and cutting and pasting from official documents that it's really even obvious, sometimes not even describing the child accurately. I've even seen report cards that parents have shown me with wrong gender and not edited like he and him for a girl. Now, I express very strong opinions in my book about such things as chronic sleep deprivation. This just isn't happening in Hong Kong. It's a concern in many, many countries, I think, nowadays. Another one in my book is about mothballs. Mothballs in your home. If you have these in your home, get rid of them immediately. My book will tell you how harmful they can be to your whole family. And by the way, when's the last time you ever saw a moth in your home? You know, I talk about sleepovers and play dates and the role of the helper and extracurricular activities that children have and after-school tutoring lessons and, yes, homework. Now, if I ever had an administrative role again in my next life, the only homework that I think I would ever give is this: reading and play and activities with the whole family. When is the last time you and your family had a chance to play play Monopoly or Snakes and Ladders or dominoes together, or even read in a quiet living room setting. This is called modeling for children. You know, my husband and I both notice that students and even their parents now are so much more stressed in recent years. The bar seems to be so much higher in many of the international schools, and we notice this stress in the form of anxiety, in tics, body tics, and even full-blown Tourette syndrome. I'm very proud to have won this runner-up award you see here on my book. It's for the American book contest called Beach Book Festival, and the awards were presented in San Francisco in June of 2016. I'm also proud of the excellent reviews on my book posted on AmazonBooks.com, and I invite those of you who haven't read them to do so. All the reasons for reading my book are mentioned in those reviews. Now, this book can be ordered as a paperback or an ebook from AmazonBooks.com, Barnes & Noble, Kobo. And if you live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you'll find my book at Parents Books, a bookstore on Harbord Street. In Hong Kong, you can buy it at Bumps to Babes, Beachside Bookstore in Stanley, Grow House Books in Central, and Ocean Sign in Repulse Bay. You can even read it at the library at the LRC, the Ladies Recreation Center, or the library in Stanley. Or you can get it from me personally. My contact information after you've read the book is at the end of my book. My email is patkozy@hotmail.com. You can also check out my official website. Now, I mentioned to you earlier that parents have so little time to read. And I think the closing of 5 bookstores here in Hong Kong in the last couple of years attests to that. Yes, my books were in those stores as well. It's a very sad commentary on how life is nowadays, isn't it? And I also invite you to read the many articles that I have written. As a freelance writer, I've done those for the South China Morning Post and for Epoch Times. I've done several articles for the Epoch Times. And that newspaper is found in countries all over the world. Here it was, in Montreal, my article on music in French. And it was published there the same day that Prime Minister Trudeau won the election for Prime Minister. And the other one is STEM Magazine, the prestigious magazine in the United States. And I've been very, very pleased to be able to contribute. I'm going to show you some of the covers of those magazines to STEM Magazine. And this is a very popular magazine with students and teachers as well. Now, some of the magazines that I've written articles for are Sassy Mama, Parents Guide, and Playtimes, just to name a few. All right, now you may also like to take advantage of the following. As you well know, children of all ages need to be read to every day. The reading experts say that you shouldn't stop reading until they get to university. Your child needs the experience of adult modeling of expression and phrasing and fluency and good vocabulary. Children need to be asked those why questions and how questions to make predictions on outcomes and even tell what might happen on the next page. So, for those of you who would like your child to see and hear stories regularly, read and sung, as well as to read along with the book, I actually provide this service on the web. You can simply Google my YouTube channel and type in Read Me a Story by Pat Kozyra. I have now posted a wide selection of books there for several ages and grade levels and reading abilities, including the delightful rhyming couplet books. I've got some of them here to show you, of the well-known American children's author Cheryl Cannon. These are delightful books that I've put on the Read Me a Story YouTube channel as well. Rhyming couplets are always such fun to read. Now, if you live in Hong Kong, I'd like to invite you to come and meet me personally. Come to St. Anne's Church at 6 o'clock on Saturday evening. I happen to be the soloist there each week. My singing might even touch your heart. Now, to conclude, the bottom line is that I feel every parent should have my book and should benefit from it. The last chapter of my book is full of motivational and inspirational entries that will touch your heart as well. The book concludes with a couple of letters from former gifted students of mine who, after 20 or 30 years, have tracked me down on LinkedIn or Facebook. The letters contain some very surprising revelations, and I was thrilled to receive them and to share them with you in my book. And to just finish off, I'm going to just read you what I end my book with. Best wishes to all of you who are helping to prepare our children to become productive and valuable citizens and useful contributors to our society. May this book add value and help shoulder the responsibility of carving men and women of substance. Best wishes to all. Enjoy my book. Bye for now.